Well, March is multiple sclerosis or MS month, a disorder in which the body's immune system attacks the protective covering of the nerve cells. And joining me to expand more on MS is Dr. Amy Yu with Boca Raton Regional Hospital Baptist Health. Thanks so much for being here with us, Dr. Yu. Appreciate your time. So talk to us a little bit about what MS is and what parts of the body it impacts.
Yeah, so multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune condition affecting the central nervous system. That means the optic nerves, the brain, the spinal cord.
So what happens to someone who could have MS?
So imagine your immune system gets a little bit confused and starts recognizing your own nerve cells, your central nervous system, as foreign and begins to attack that.
Okay, what are some of the signs and symptoms people should watch out for?
You know, multiple sclerosis is a very, very heterogeneous disease. Everyone is slightly different. Very common symptoms that can happen include weakness, sensory changes, feeling there's tightness or like there's water running down. Sometimes people can get some brain fog or cognitive dysfunction. There can be bowel or bladder impairments. There can be vision changes, gait impairments, and balance difficulties.
Some of those first symptoms you were just talking about, honestly, I feel like someone could just say, oh, I'm just exhausted. That's all it is. Maybe I'm just tired. I've been doing a little bit too much, but something to, maybe look at and take more seriously.
Exactly. So I think one really important characteristic is symptoms from MS, typically they're not fleeting. They don't come and go intermittently for minutes or seconds at a time. These are going to be changes that you'll notice for maybe at least 24 hours consistently. And if that happens, I think that's something to bring up to your physician to see whether or not this should be evaluated further.
We were just talking during the commercial break. Good Morning America had a story with Christina Applegate and with Jamie Lynn Sigler, who are both diagnosed with MS. And one of the things that I noticed in watching that just very moving and emotional interview is that MS really could impact people in different ways. Can you talk a little bit about that?
100%. MS is the top common cause for neurological disability in young adults, but what that means for each individual patient is so different. Some people might have mostly sensory symptoms where they feel off balance, they have some trouble with coordination. Other people can have significant physical impairments where they're not able to, they feel weak. A foot is dragging, a leg is dragging. It's so different.
What are some of the just risks? What can people look out for as risks of MS, and is there treatment available?
So MS is really a complex disorder in the end. There's a genetic predisposition. So if you are from a northern hemisphere or genetic background from that northern hemisphere, and there's a combination of environmental risks. So if you've ever cigarette smoking, if there's ever been obesity in your adolescence, or low vitamin D level, these can increase your risk. And the really hot topic is EBV, or infectious mononucleosis. That seems to be a necessary, but not the only risk factor needed to trigger clinical MS.
So we're looking at some of the treatment right now here on the screen. So what are some treatment options?
So really there's two main arms. The two pillars are if you have a relapse or a new attack with inflammation, those are definitely the treatments that we want to do to calm down the inflammation. But in the end, it's a lifelong chronic disease, and these are the disease-modifying therapies. We're in a very good phase of multiple sclerosis treatment now. We have many, many treatments available to us to prevent the accumulation of new lesions. So I think we're at a much better place compared to even 10 years ago.
Yeah, probably giving so many people out there hope.
Exactly.
Dr. Yu, thank you so much for your time and for your insight. If you would like more information, you can head to our website, WPBF.com.